Hi, I'm Annie Fitzsimmons. I'm your Washington REALTORS Legal Hotline lawyer, and this is another episode in our series entitled, There's a Form for That. And I'm joined one more time by my friend Camden Schutte.
Yeah, I'm Camden Schutte, designated broker for Coldwell 360 team and 360 Property Management on Whidbey and Fidalgo Island.
So Camden, my buyer wants to buy a personal property manufactured home in a park.
Okay.
And they want to keep it in that park and enter a lease with the park owner. Is there a form for that?
Absolutely. That would be a Form 23, which would be your manufactured home purchase and sale agreement on leased land.
Okay. Manufactured home, purchase and sale agreement on leased land.
Correct.
So this assumes a number of things. It assumes it's a personal property mobile home. So title hasn't been eliminated.
Right.
And if it's in a park, it can't have been eliminated because the mobile home, the manufactured home, is sitting on property that the homeowner doesn't own, right? So the title can't be eliminated because the real property is owned by somebody different than the personal property. And the buyer is purchasing only the manufactured home, and they are hoping to be able to get a lease in the park. Form 23 sets all the parameters for that transaction. The buyer becomes the owner. If this transaction closes, the buyer becomes the owner of the manufactured home. And through the process, they gain approval from the park owner to enter a lease with the park owner to maintain the manufactured home on that leased space, right? Okay, there's a form for that. We just described it.
Yes, Form 23.
What if the buyer is purchasing a manufactured home that's sitting on land, and the buyer wants to also purchase the land?
Okay.
Is there a form for that?
Yeah, so you're going to do a vacant land purchase and sale agreement because that's the real property you're purchasing. And then you're going to use a Form 22MH, which is a manufactured home addendum to that purchase and sale agreement.
That's right. And if all you think about is the 22MH as being the mobile home form, and you try to use that in the first scenario where you're purchasing the home on leased land, you're going to look at it and go, whoa, where are all the terms? Because it's a one-page form.
Yeah.
Because it's only intended to be an addendum to a vacant land purchase and sale agreement where there is a manufactured home sitting on the land already, and the buyer is going to purchase the land and the home.
Yeah, and like you said, where the title hasn't been eliminated, it's still personal property.
True, because if the title's already been eliminated, what form are you going to use? Pop quiz.
Oh, no. I don't know.
That'd be a Form 21, right?
Yep.
Because that would be the home and the land owned by the seller selling to the buyer. And so because of that, there's a space on 22MH where the buyer and seller will agree that the title either will or will not be eliminated prior to closing. So the scenario necessarily assumes that the title is not eliminated when the buyer and seller enter the purchase and sale agreement. That's why they're using a vacant land purchase and sale agreement and a 22MH addendum. They could choose to agree that the title will be eliminated prior to closing, and then if that buyer turned around and sold 2 years later, they would use a Form 21. There's a form for that.
That's right? There is.
Tell me if there's a form for this. My seller wants to build a house on his raw land where there is otherwise a manufactured home already sitting.
That has not had title eliminated, right?
Title is not eliminated.
So it's still personal property.
Personal property, manufactured home, and my seller just wants to sell the home, not the land.
Okay.
Is there a form for that?
No. It's personal property.
It's
not real property. We're not licensed to sell that. I mean, that'd be like us trying to sell a car. We're not licensed.
That's exactly what it would be like. You're right. And so a real estate broker is licensed to sell a manufactured home only if the sale of that home is in conjunction with a transfer of an interest in real property. And it could be a leasehold interest. It could be a fee simple or a sale interest. But there has to be a transfer of interest in real property with the manufactured home, or you aren't licensed to sell it. You have to have a manufactured home dealer's license at that point. Right?
Yep.
Anything else?
I think that's it.
If you have questions on this topic or any other, please visit warealtor.org. Follow the links to the legal hotline and ask me a question. Thank you for being a Washington REALTORS member.